What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of December 27th through January 2nd of 2021. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Can't believe that this is the week that we end 2021. Came super fast. This is my birthday week, too. My birthday will be Friday, December 31st, so... Interesting times this week. I get a solar return and a Mars return in the same week. It's kind of wow for myself. I hope you're all doing very well as we do close out this 2021. And it's been such a Saturn square Uranus year. And of course, we're still dealing with that energy now. So we've definitely seen reality change. We've seen it accelerate. We've seen it shatter in many places. And what does that mean? And what does that look like in our own personal lives? And of course, in the world, it's very strange. It's a very strange world that we live in. But I think, spiritually and personally, this is a great time to see that everything that did not hold up or hold that integrity was not part of the mission. And of course, we do come to a new moon in Capricorn this week on Sunday to close this week out. And that ends the eclipse cycle of Taurus and Gemini, and that does kind of put a stamp in many ways, and Capricorn and Saturn is a stamp. So we're kind of stamping that cerebral energy closed in some ways, and really using that cerebral knowledge, that truth, whether it came from, the facts that have shown up in your environment, or it was, the facts that have showed up in the world to some people. Of where these changes are going. This is kind of stamping that direction forward, and how we can build off of that, and how we can align ourselves with what that truth showed us individually. And, speaking of truth, Jupiter is a planet of truth and higher knowing, and it really is the vision. And it comes into its home sign of Pisces, and it's going to kiss Saturn and Aquarius goodbye this week on Tuesday. And Jupiter has been with Saturn for a long time, pretty much the last 2 years, a little longer. It's been with Saturn's rule. It's kind of been Saturn's evil henchman, kind of amplifying restrictions, control, this government, politics, all these, big Saturnian aspects of our life. It's definitely amplified what that is in our world. And then also Jupiter and Aquarius trying to teach us lessons about our futures and how to find our genius and how to connect to that energy and how to look at the whole of everything without getting too attached to one little piece in the whole, but to expand past that. So hopefully we've all learned that lesson in kind of a Saturnian way. I feel like these could have been harsh lessons, of course, as we're seeing things shatter, as we're seeing, reaches of control take place that we've never seen before in our lives. It's very interesting. And then we come into transcendence, Jupiter in Pisces, and it's going to meet in 2022 with Neptune, Jupiter's brother, Poseidon, Zeus and Poseidon. So very interesting, of course, to have these two ruling energies of Pisces together. And, Jupiter's not going back into Aquarius this time. So it really is this full on, here we go into how we can transcend. And I think that transcendence does get a good look at the Virgo energy of the practicality and having things very set in order and clean. I think this axis does deal a lot with cleanliness, whether it be physical cleanliness, all the way, of course, to the Pisces side of the spiritual cleanliness, the divine cleanliness, the connection, the whole, the cleanliness of the whole picture, and how to bring some sort of understanding and some sort of vision of how to clean up chaos, how to clean up illusion, and sort of break ourselves from a factor of delusion in some sense. But there could definitely be a heightened sense of rose-colored glasses of yep, everything is going to be just fine. But is it? And we'll have to be very discerning, and I think use that polarity of Virgo to be critical when we need to be critical, and not just gloss over things. And maybe that kicks off a little bit this week. Jupiter's going to start squaring the nodes this week. It won't square exact until next week when Jupiter does come out of shadow at 2 degrees of Pisces. And then it's really kind of off to the races. Jupiter's going to start ripping through Pisces here. And the square to the nodes that we're starting to feel this week is a big checkpoint. It is what would be called a skip step in evolutionary astrology. So we've had to go very deep into our belief structures, and we've had a south node in Sagittarius for the last coming up on 18 and a half months here, really during this whole show that we have seen about beliefs and about a belief that has kind of turned into its own religion of sorts. And we've had to shift what we really want to align ourselves with as a highest truth. Is it spirituality? Is it the universe? Is it astrology? Is it science? You know, you could say Jupiter and Saturn have heightened the science aspect, meeting in Aquarius and dealing with, you know, that sort of scientific Aquarian. Let's get in here and figure out these equations and have them all. But with that south node, it made it very, very iffy when you went with the science and having a Saturn square Uranus. These were hard, you know, aspects for science. So it's very interesting to look back at the narrative and how science has become this religion in many ways. And is that the religion that is the most pure? Is that the religion that is going to help you transcend what no longer needs to be in place in reality? And I think that this is this week where we close out 2021 and make really powerful choices within our highest of truths. And is our highest truth a spiritual truth that's really being led by a higher power that is not in physical form? Or is it being led by physical forms that believe that they have a higher power that are trying to tell you the way? And in many ways, that was the great choices that we've all had to make in our lives over, you know, these last 2 years, basically. And it's been difficult. And I'm definitely not here to tell you which one is the more right way. This is the way. I don't know what the way is. All I know is there were choices made, and people got to choose what their way and what their ultimate truth was in this truth axis of Gemini and Sag. And this new moon coming again on Sunday is the cement of what your path was and how individuals are going to transcend moving forward and what they are transcending into. And is it a transcendence into a big illusion, a big abyss? Or is it transcendence into the beautiful connectedness of the whole, and to realizing that there's something bigger to life than just the physical? And are you following sort of that, or are you just in the Matrix? It's interesting that, of course, the Matrix 4 did come out at the end of this year, and to me, that movie, you know, was a big check on like how strong blue pills are in the world right now, and how easy it is to just get blue pilled over and over again by all of the psyops. Maybe we are a psyop, each and every one of us. We don't really know. But the only way to get out of that is to stop giving our energy to everything that is such an illusion, and to transcend for a higher spiritual calling. And I do believe that Jupiter in Pisces is going to amplify spiritual gifts. It's going to amplify the spiritual calling and really the psychic abilities that are going to help you live spiritually and physically cleansed life are now. And they're based off the choices you've made since Jupiter was in Capricorn in 2020, through the trial and error almost, and trying to figure everything out, with Jupiter in Aquarius, through shattering, through acceleration, through weirdness. And now it really comes into the gifts for the choices that were made. And I am, again, not here to tell you what choice was right or wrong. That is way above my pay grade. And I'm just here to tell you, as an astrologer, we're about to see if you made the right choice. So this comes back to me. Did I make the right choices? I don't know. I'm not the ultimate judge here. This is where Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces are going to be. God is the ultimate judge. The universe is the ultimate judge. And we will see what they put into our plate. And did we surrender to a divine calling, or did we surrender to a false belief. And that's going to show up in our individual lives one way or another in 2022. And we're coming into that now. And that was the skip step, was a lesson, was a belief, was choosing a higher calling or not. What that means, I don't know. Maybe it was the other way. I don't believe so. But again, it's not just about my beliefs. It's about each and every one of us and what that belief is to us. So that's up to you. And really, it's up to the divine and to God to judge. And that's where we can come into so much judging too, and judgment, as we're going to have a lot of planets in Capricorn and a new moon in Capricorn by the end of the week. Mercury is going to cross over Venus. It's going Venus retrograde, of course. It's going to cross over Pluto in Capricorn before making its way on Sunday into Aquarius as well. So we do get our higher mind, Jupiter, and our lower mind, Mercury, left brain, right brain here, ingressing signs this week. That's definitely going to change the mental outlook. And Mercury's getting ready here in January, mid-January, to go retrograde at 10 degrees of Aquarius and come back into Capricorn, which I believe will be 24 degrees Capricorn, which is where Pluto stationed and went direct not too long ago, a couple months. So these late 20, mid 20 degrees of Capricorn are very interesting in that Pluto went retrograde at 26 degrees Capricorn in 2021. Venus went retrograde at 26 degrees of Capricorn in 2021. They conjuncted for this whole month of December. Venus is going to come back to 11 degrees. It's going to cross 22 degrees, which is where Jupiter came just a little later, but it was Saturn, Pluto, the Sun, and Mercury all met January 12th of 2021. So we are really at a place of January 12th, 2020, of coming to this big decision moment, and all these decisions and all these choices that have been made, and about, did we take responsibility for the mission or for the divine calling or not? Or did we stay in the matrix? Or did we resurrect from it? So much of this week and this end of this year to me feels like this great resurrection point of where we get to see how we really did connect the dots in our life. And they could have been harsh decisions that we had to make. They could have been hard ones. They could have been scary ones. But it was really about if you just followed your truth and you didn't get manipulated into someone else's truth or to a media truth or a world truth. It was all about your environment. It's been all about your subjective mind this whole time. And were you strong in that? And did you make decisions based on that? And I do believe we start to see in 2022 the transcendence because of that reward. And even as we're in Capricorn season, there are rewards in Capricorn. I know people get a little sensitive when we talk about rewards and trophies and accomplishments and achievements and accolades. But this is a part of physical existence, and it's Capricorn, and Capricorn will always be there. Always will be, always will be. Always was, always will be. We're not going to get out of that. And I think a lot of people are excited for that. They're like, yeah, I have been working so hard and I have made big decisions for my future based on my environments, my truth, my own mind, and using that mind. And using that mind to connect the dots that made sense to you as an individual. This could be a great moment here coming into 2022 of like mental power and realizing your gifts and your connection, and that all those choices you made that were hard are showing up with some sense of accomplishment, some sense of you did it. Good job. Saturn's a strict father. He will teach us harsh lessons, and he will ground us, and he will, I'm looking for a word, but it's not coming. He will discipline us, but he also, when we put the work in, he gives us a damn good pat on the back and a hug, and he's like, you did it, son. You did it. I'm not going to eat you. You worked hard and you earned it. So we're coming into a time where if we're going to see where we put the work in and if we earned it or not, and that's super beautiful. And I think that this is a good week to realize we're going to start to see where we put the work in and where it was meant to show up in our lives. And if it was meant to show up, and if we used our mind, and if we didn't. So it's a big time. Just having Mercury meet up with Venus retrograde and Pluto, they're going to be really tight up at that 25, 24 degrees of 20, yeah, 25, 26, 24 degrees of Capricorn. They're going to be real tight this week. A lot of this is about realizing and understanding your resurrection right now and not feeling guilty for choices, but feeling empowered by choices. But we're also going to have the Sun square Chiron this week from Capricorn, which is, I mean, I've been dealing with Chiron square my Sun for a while now. And I can tell you that it definitely leaves you feeling vulnerable, but it also leaves you feeling like if you did the healing, that you start to realize there's great gifts in the healing and going through those dark nights. It's not, these are not fun times for many of us. And I think that's where we can feel like another like sort of collective dark night of the soul energy is like this Chiron and Sun square. Because it is restricting in Capricorn and it is sort of dark. And it's dark right now. We are getting more light every day at this point, but these are very dark times. Just physically, maybe even spiritually, and definitely when you look out in the world and see what, government officials are saying, like the White House will tell you straight up, you didn't listen to their belief, that you're going to have a very dark, harsh, deadly winter. See, and that's where we're at right now, is that really what we're going to listen to? Are we going to let that kind of fear propaganda take us from a mission, take us from beauty, take us from this great connection? Like, no, it's all bullshit. Just feeding people blue pills of fear. And this is where we got to take the red pill that is of no fear, but of transcendence and belief in the highest of highs. And not getting caught up in our wounds. And not getting, we might have to take some steps back. We might have to feel, Capricorn and Cancer is a feeling axis, believe it or not. People act like Capricorn doesn't feel. Capricorn feels. They might suppress their feelings to get the work done, but they feel everything. And this is where we can feel a lot of the areas that maybe we've restricted ourselves based on outer control, based on a belief of society. And if we didn't make these big choices in our lives, we can feel very sort of wounded and very set back. But even if we're feeling these vulnerabilities, this is where we can still make choices. There's always choices. This is not a time to lose hope on a choice that you can make to really, unlock doors in your life. Yes, it's Capricorn season, and it might feel like there's doors that are closer or closed in life, but this is about finding the door that you're meant to. This is destined doors. This isn't just every door in the world opening up. This is really getting into how you feel and really getting into your own truth and vulnerabilities of like, what is the right door and am I going to open it now? And I think that that's where we're at as we close out this year. We have so much to look forward to spiritually in 2022. What the physical is going to look like, it's not going to look like we think it's going to look. I'll tell you that much. But spiritually, this is a time of amazing connection and using that spiritual connection to purify the physical in your world, to create beauty. And knowing that you can create beauty on your own is kind of what we're coming into. I think that this is a big week of that and getting to a very deep understanding of your value, a deep understanding of your worth. Really cracking codes in many ways. It's almost like I feel like I'm seeing like a lock, like a padlock. And it's almost like we could have been playing with numbers over and over again to unlock this certain part of what we are looking for in life right now. And I'll be honest, this could be the week with this Mercury crossing over Venus and Pluto in Capricorn that we hit the right number. Like we unlock something. We tried and we investigated and we just kept going and we were compulsive almost about what we need to have this great unlocking. This is it. This could be that week. It's very penetrative. Like we're going to go deep into our mind and our feelings so intensely this weekend, and it can feel very harsh, but we're going to come out with that unlock code. And we're going to transcend. This is a week of transcendence into a new year. And I think there's a lot to look forward to there. We're also going to get, of course, this new moon at 12 degrees of Capricorn. So we're going to get a sun trine Uranus, a moon trine Uranus. And again, this new moon energy will be in trine to Uranus. Uranus has been part of all these new moons, but this one's, particular in a sense that it's just coming off the squares with Saturn. And it's in Capricorn, the sun and the moon. So they're ruled by this Saturn, and they are in a semi-square with Saturn also. There are amazing doorways that are just waiting for us to just kind of hunker down and hit that code to get there. And once we realize it, over this next lunation, over this year, you're going to start to see all these amazing doors that are willing to open up because they're a part of your destiny, because they're a part of the mission, and they're part of a bigger calling, a karmic calling, a dharmic calling. This is that time. And I've been talking a little bit about that for a while, but 2022 is that bang. And it starts off January 2nd. And this lunation in Capricorn is going to be about cracking the code in your life. And we might crack it this week. We might crack it over the next 30 days. But at some point, there's going to be an aha and a stroke of genius that could strike like lightning. And it could come this week, that is going to show you how worthy you are to create a life that you were meant to create. And everything else, that all the stories, everything in the world that tells you no was all just an illusion of the matrix that you just had to realize within yourself. It was all about you. You decided what a no was. You decided what a yes was in your personal life. And this is where all those decisions come to a culmination point. And Mercury coming into Aquarius is so smart. And that's going to help us for this new moon energy of really, and it's going to be right at 0 degrees for this new moon, which is right where just over a year ago we had Saturn and Jupiter meet at 0 Aquarius on the winter solstice of 2020. So we are about to have a much bigger understanding of the Capricorn journey in our life. And are we going to use our mysticism with Jupiter, which will be in Pisces with Neptune at 0 degrees to get there, or not? And I was curious to see if it was in semi-square to this new moon, and it's not. But there's something too about this Mars here in Sagittarius that needs to be paid attention to. It is going to quincunx Uranus, but it's also going to sextile with Saturn. Very conflicting energy for this Mars and our identification and how we want to push and kind of look for optimism in life right now too, and how adaptable we can be. But also it puts we're going to want to identify very strongly with beliefs. And the quincunx to Uranus is very erratic. We could want to jump the gun on things. We could want to just strike like lightning super fast in life. But if we didn't think these things through, and here's where the Saturn sextile is helping, actually, very much helping, is we have to have a plan. We have to kind of consolidate the genius into this magical sort of aha, divine, this is the belief, and it just kind of hits. And so we're having energy strike like lightning that we can identify with, but we don't want to just jump the gun. We really want to do the work and make sure that insight was of our ultimate truth, the ultimate fact in our life, to make us feel some sense of really ourself, and not of anything else. Anything that's not of your independent truth, don't just jump the gun for that because it sounds good, or I believe this will be good. Especially with a Venus retrograde in Capricorn, coming off of Pluto and coming to that 22 degree mark. It's a big deal. But this is a time to pay close attention to what you're identifying with. And the genius is there. We're going to get the ahas. We're going to get the strike of lightning. But don't just strike like lightning for any belief. Especially with Jupiter square the nodes. We're going through big lessons about beliefs this week. And it's not that beliefs don't exist. It's just that they have to be very much North Node Gemini And they have to also have that polarity of Virgo tied into it too, of like, does it actually make analytical sense? This can't just be any belief out of nowhere. This is like stuff that we've already experimented with. We've done plenty of experiments in our life over the last year, and now it's about taking all that data that we've acquired, all that fact, and not just jumping the gun and switching up for something that absolutely makes no sense or just shows up in a second this week. So anything that tries to show up out of nowhere and have you jump, this is where we got to be smart and look at Saturn and consolidate that thought and that belief and make sure that it does fit the journey and make sure that it does fit into the future and that it is fully connected in your life. And if it's fully connected, you will have the biggest spark of aha ever. And there's something pretty amazing coming with that energy as well. So quite the week. I'll pull up this new moon. It's at 12 degrees of Cap. So we do get that trine. Over to Uranus. Once again, Uranus is in the mix. This is definitely going higher with our physical values and the decisions that we've made. So it all comes to kind of this point in 2022 of all those decisions from 2020, 2021. This is the ones, these ones can expand your entire outlook on life. And especially with a Jupiter at 0 Pisces. Like, this is transcendence because of the decisions that were made. It wasn't just because of the hope and the belief. It was about the changes and the pivots that you felt the most called to from the divine and did those things. So you did the work. You're going to start to see accelerated upgrades over this lunation. And that's beautiful. And Venus is going to be at 22 degrees where Saturn, Pluto met. The Sun and Mercury had their conjunction. All at the beginning of 2020. All of our lives changed that day, January 12th, 2020. And it was about, did we initiate those changes for a destiny, or did we get completely controlled by that unseen power of the world, which was Pluto and Saturn in this kind of really dark plan? And shout out to David Palmer, the Leo King, for being on top of that before anybody was even talking about it. Really, he started talking about that in 2017, warning people, and he was spot on. So now we're all dealing with decisions from that moment and where this destiny is heading. And everything was about like how many blue pills you took over the last 2 years, to be completely honest. And I know that could offend people because they're like, I didn't take a blue pill. Hey, if you don't think you took it and you're defending that you didn't take it, you probably took it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's your own guide saying, why are you questioning it? Very interesting. And then, of course, Pluto will have had Mercury cross over it. Venus will have crossed over it. And we get Mercury in Aquarius. So the mind's already jumping way ahead here, jumping timelines, which I think is good because it's going to have us channel a lot of connectedness that we're looking for. It's also meeting where Jupiter and Saturn met at 00 of Aquarius. So talk about the whole year coming full circle since last year of so January 12th, 2020 to December 21st, 2021. Talk about this week having a finishing aspect with a new moon on January 2nd, 2022. Lots of twos. Coming to this huge moment of these great decisions that you have to make in your life for a bigger purpose, for a bigger calling, the spiritual destiny, and how your beliefs have shaped the destiny. But how they're also this very sensitive point because this is where people they believed in the wrong thing. And again, I'm not the judge of that. God's the judge of that. But that's where we're at right now. Did you believe in the right thing? Did you trust in what you saw in your personal life, or did you get lost into what the world told you to believe? And just having Mars and quincunx to that, and then to that Uranus is pretty wild too. And Mars is, I believe, starting to semi-square Saturn. No, it's not. It's coming off the sextile to Saturn. So, again, this is definitely helping us make very practical action decisions, having us like pick a path on the journey, pick a path that is connected up this mountain, and it's not a time to just jump for jump's sake. Like, this is like Uranus and that quincunx will have us itching to just make some crazy move for a belief that shows up in the world. And this is where you got to be tailored in your action, you got to be tailored in your thought, and you really got to use your psychic abilities here, because that's one thing that Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces coming into this next year are going to help us with so much, is our psychic attunement and psychic abilities based on decisions. If you ever wanted to have your psychic abilities, those decisions you made from 2020 up until now, they were here to, they wanted you to just, if you were listening to that inner call, you get the psychic, just amazingness. Like, and I honestly believe that. My guides keep coming through saying it's true. Maybe, maybe not. But to ask yourself if you feel that way. If you feel like by the end of this week, the choices you made, because it all comes down to choices, especially in Capricorn, and these are big decisions in our life that we've all had to make. Are we going to get the reward for those decisions or not? And do we believe that? And have fact already shown up in your life based on that or not? And we still really do have Saturn and Uranus in square for this, 2-degree orb, just over a degree actually. So it's still pretty tight. And look at Saturn +8. So, of course, I'll talk more about this coming into the weekend horoscope, but I want to show that chart. It's quite a week. There's definitely so much going on. So I look forward to breaking down the dailies with you guys and sending you all my best. And I hope that was helpful as a little precursor into what's coming. And of course, we'll take a look at the dailies and go deeper into all that as this week builds for us all. But gosh, I'm sending you all my best. I'm so hopeful, to be honest, for the spiritual gifts on the decisions that we've made. This is where we start to see the payout for some of the hardest choices that we've had to make in our lives, dealing with relationships, dealing with our values, dealing with business, dealing with jobs, dealing with everything this physical world has thrown at us. And this is a big time of recognition almost for it from the universe and God saying, yeah, you 100% did the right thing by paying attention to all the facts and truth that I threw at you without just believing in some narrative. And I think the biggest thing this week is to not just jump the gun because of a vulnerability, even with the sun square over to Chiron, feeling some woundedness, and then having Uranus and Mars in quincunx and feeling like, I know how to make myself feel better. If I just do this crazy idea, I'll feel better. Like, check yourself. Saturn's giving us checks and balances with that Mars too in sextile. Just make sure that it matches your individuality. Make sure that it is actually a connected aspect in your life that is bringing healing, that is unlocking doors, that's unlocking wisdom in your life, that's unlocking growth, steps forward and not just steps backward. I feel like this week definitely offers some kind of choice between, ironically enough, blue pill, red pill, and this is probably the biggest choice that you have to make as we close out these cycles. And we do get a moon in Scorpio this week, which is going to be making really good aspects to the Capricorn energy and Pluto, Venus, Mercury, the sun. But it's also having us really, with a Venus-Pluto conjunction, really get in to what's going to make us feel good and to find power in the decisions that are not detrimental or toxic, but spiritually clean and pure. Those are everything right now. Pull a card. People always wonder if I have notes. I don't have notes. Just had one chart up for that new moon. yeah, that's how we do it here. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll get technical and look at the charts this week for sure. Queen of Swords in reverse. This is a time of very powerful decisions mentally. This week is about choices and being kind of cold and cutting through and not feeling like you don't have a sense of direction or you don't know. At this point, you've made so many choices, it's just not a time to go backwards into the old. This is a time to initiate destiny by going in the direction that is the most connected. And you gotta possibly make cold decisions for yourself that aren't going to be easy, even though it's the right thing for you. Ace of Pentacles in reverse. If you don't make the big decision, you don't get the new gift. If you don't stay in the purity and trust in your mission and all the stuff that you've done up to this point, you don't get the reward. You don't get the gift. But there's new things out there that are trying to show up in our life, but we have to really check ourselves this week and make sure that we followed the divine path, the rare path, and didn't stay on the shattered path. Five of Swords. These cards are kind of saying it's just not going to be an easy week. There's going to be a lot of mental conflict because maybe we feel like the gift's not showing up fast enough, or we're not getting that last final number on the padlock to open up and unlock what we really want. And we don't want to, get down here. We don't want to think that, there's no way to win right now. There is a way to win. And if we just keep at it, and that's what Mars and Saturn and sextile is really going to help with this week, is if we just keep at it and don't get down and don't just think we know it all and don't think we have everything figured out, but keep trying and keep trying to come up with a code that does work based on truth in your life and based on decisions. It's out there for us. What's the gift this week? 10 of Pentacles upright. The physical world that you've always wanted is the gift, but this is such a mental shift this week. And if we can mentally realize that we have the tools in our life to have the greatest, to have the ultimate fulfillment, and to manifest at will the abundance that we desire, it's coming. So this is a powerful week of manifestation, but only if you have a strong mind of your own. And if you're willing to keep trucking forward with what makes sense in your life. And if things don't make sense, keep pursuing the code to make sense. It's out there for you right now. But you have to believe that within yourself and not think you need it to show up elsewhere. I love you all very much. Hope this was helpful. I will see you for all the dailies, and we'll break this down as we go. Much love, everybody. Happy New Year. Take care. Peace.